What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Lukas Röke podcast. My name is Lukas Röke. This is currently episode 17 of the Proverbs series, meaning we'll be reading chapter 17 of Proverbs. I pray you all are doing well and thank you for tuning in for another episode. Now, without further ado, let's get right into Proverbs chapter 17. Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. And I already want to stop there and take a moment to look at this verse, because it's telling us that a loving home, which may not be the richest, is better than a home full of strife, full of anger, full of violence, arguments, but they're feasting. And if we think at the time that it was written to be feasting, to have food in abundance, meat, these would be wealthy families. But Proverbs is teaching us rather have a loving home, people who actually care for each other, are in relationship with each other, than to be in a house full of money, full of food, full of wealth, but at the same time to be full of strife. There's some stuff that are valued higher than money, and society won't teach you that, but some stuff are greater than money. Some stuff money just can't buy, and it's having a nice relationship with your family, a loving relationship where people care for you, and that is something that money can't buy. Verse 2, a servant who deals wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully, and will share the inheritance as one of the brothers. And we humans are all born differently. You might think that's a dumb statement, but some people are born with better genetics than others. Some people are born to be athletes. Some people are born to be mathematicians. Everyone has different type of strengths. But there is some stuff you can work on, and an example for that is gaining wisdom, becoming wise, seeking knowledge. And we read in verse 2, a servant who deals wisely, he'll rule over a son who acts shamefully. Because maybe that person, maybe that other person who you are competing with, he may have an advantage because he was born gifted. God gave him specific talents which help him. But you seeking that wisdom, you can still become better than that person. You can strive to become better than that person by seeking wisdom, by becoming wise. Because there's some stuff you can't control, like your height, or your eye color, or your face shape, your bone structure, which might get you into modeling. But there's some stuff you can control. For example, how much wisdom you gain, how much knowledge you gain. So just because someone was born genetically gifted doesn't mean that you are of less value than them, because you can still become greater than them if you put that work in. Verse 3, the crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests the heart. And let's just look at what we're reading in verse 3. The crucible and the furnace are both stuff which are really hot. And we can see this in our life as trials. We see God tests the heart, but he doesn't test the heart when everything's going well, when he's giving us everything our hearts desire. When we get accepted to a job, to that university, to that work, when you get that friend, when you get into a relationship, when you meet nice people. No, that's not when the heart is tested, but the heart is tested in times of trials and persecutions. And that's exactly what verse 3 is saying. The crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests the heart. Your heart will be tested in times of trials. So don't give up in times of trials, but know that God is testing you in these, and that you ought to stay strong. Keep your eyes fixed on him, and he will be with you through these trials. It's not something you have to go through alone, but he's seeing, will this person on the other side of the screen, will he lean on me? Will he put his whole heart and trust into me when everything doesn't go his way? Especially in that season, in those maybe even multiple seasons, will that person put their trust in me? Will they lean on me and not trust in their own ways? Verse 4, an evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar gives ear to a mischievous tongue. And often we'll find ourselves blaming other people. Oh, I'm only listening to gossip because that person keeps on talking about it. I only fell into lust because I surrounded myself with people who keep on speaking about it. And that influences me. But you have a certain type of responsibility. You can decide, what do I let come into my ears? Because we know whatever comes in your ears goes to your heart, and whatever comes to your heart comes out of your mouth again. It's the cycle that keeps on continuing. You got to protect your ears and watch out what comes into your ears. And you just have that certain type of responsibility, who you surround yourself with. We'll read later in verse 17, a friend loves at all times and a brother is born for adversity. It's important who you keep around you, who you surround yourself with. and not always giving the blame to the people who speak stuff into your life, because you have a decision to be part of that friend group. How much time you spend with that specific person who keeps on gossiping, who keeps on talking about lust. You have that option, and it gives you a responsibility. So watch out who you spend your time with, because you are responsible for what comes into your ears. Verse 5, whoever mocks the poor insults his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. And this is something I was mentioning a couple chapters before, that society may see some people of lesser value, but in God's eyes, we're all the same. We are made in his image, and he loves that homeless person just as much as he loves you, just as much as he loves me. He loves us all the same. And to mock a homeless person, here it says a poor, to mock the poor is to mock the maker. Because just because their life hasn't been going amazing, they're still made in God's image. So you mocking them is mocking God, saying, God, look at that homeless person. What went wrong there? You must have made a mistake with that one. Why is he living on the street? But no, maybe God has that specific plan for that homeless person. And you don't know the heart posture of that homeless person. He might be the happiest person because he may have just found life. He may have his Bible, reading it every single day. He might be more righteous than you, and he might be happier than you. Even though society will tell you they aren't. They may not have money. Maybe their family abandoned them. But he may just have life, and there's nothing greater than life. Verse 6, grandchildren are the crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. Fine speech is not becoming to a fool, still less is a false speech to a prince. A bribe is like a magic stone in the eyes of the one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he prospers. And this is a real life temptation that we see. We'll see people bribing other people. And as it says in verse 8, wherever he turns, he prospers. For now, for this short-term satisfaction, gratification, it may seem like it's worth it to bribe your way through, get a good grade, instead of spending time to study. Whatever it may be, it does seem rewarding. But in the long run, we see what type of people are the people who do bribes. It's the fools. And what happens to the fools? They get thrown into the pit, eternal separation from God. So just because it seems rewarding right now, don't forget everything else that Proverbs says about the fools. And in the long run, it will not be worth it. Whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates close friends. A rebuke goes deeper into a man of understanding than 100 blows into a fool. And this is also a reoccurring theme that we were reading many chapters before, over and over again. That some people, when you rebuke them and you try to help them, you try to advise them that what they're doing is not right in the eyes of the Lord, according to the Bible, the truth. Some people will appreciate it and they'll say, thank you for helping me. Now I can stop doing that and I can grow, spiritually grow, mentally grow. And some people, they'll get annoyed, they'll get vexed. They'll be like, why? Who are you to tell me what's right and wrong? And these are the people you don't want to be surrounding yourself with, because they aren't willing to grow. They aren't willing to take advice, but they'd rather just be butthurt by your advice. Verse 11, an evil man seeks only rebellion, and a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Let a man meet a she-bear robbed of her cubs, rather than a fool in his folly. And this is an outrageous statement, actually. Just think about that image right there. A she-bear robbed of her cubs. Her children, everything. Her whole life has basically been taken from her. Imagine how angry she must be, waiting until she finds that person or that animal who stole her cubs. And Proverbs chapter 17 verse 12 is saying, rather meet a bear who's angry, full of violence, because someone stole her cubs, than a fool in his folly. And if that doesn't get you to think, then I don't know what does. Because this seems to be way deeper than we imagine it to be. Because some people, their greatest fear might be bears. So when they read that, that must be like terrifying for them. And Proverbs is saying, you'll rather meet that than a fool in his folly. So don't be that fool. Don't become that fool, but seek to be that righteous person. Verse 13, if anyone returns evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. Quit before you're in too deep. Because once you get into strife, we read, just imagine that a dam, once you open the dam, the water starts falling out. There's no turning back. Maybe eventually you can close it, but it will be too late. So much water will already be gone. So stop before it even starts. Verse 15, he who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Justifying the wicked, you gotta be that honest person. Even if you might not be a judge in a courthouse, you got everyday decisions to make. Maybe even among your friends, you've got two people fighting and you're that third person who's meant to pick a side. Be that honest person. Why should a fool have money in his hand to buy wisdom when he has no sense? And we can see this verse in two different senses. One, the first way we could read this verse and understand it is that you can't buy wisdom. Wisdom isn't something you can buy. You can't go to the shop, tell the storekeeper, I've got 100 euros. How much wisdom can I buy? No, wisdom is putting your time into the right stuff. Seeking God. Getting into your daily devotional time with God, being in that quiet place with God, fasting, praying. It's nothing that the world has to offer, which is why it makes it so much more valuable, because you can't buy it. You can compare it to the gym. You can't buy progress in a gym, but you see someone who goes to the gym by the way they look. And the same is with wisdom. You can see a true man of God by the way they present themselves, by the way they speak, their actions. And the second way you can see it is that a fool who may have money but lacks sense, when he has that money, he wouldn't even buy wisdom because he has no sense. And there's some people like that in this world, these billionaires, or Elon Musk, a trillionaire, who could make a difference in this world because they have been blessed with fortunes way more than they could ever need. But they lack sense and they don't use it for the right reasons, because they'll rather be greedy and store it up for themselves and their future generations and generational wealth and keep it going and going and going, rather than give it to the homeless, rather than help people out in third world countries who need the help, because they lack sense. And now we get to chapter 17, verse 17. A friend loves at all times and a brother is born for adversity. Think about your friends right now. Are they always there for you, or are they there for you when times are easy? But as soon as adversity comes, they're gone. Disappear for a couple months, stop texting you, stop hitting you up, stop checking on you. But that's not what a true friend is. We read a friend loves at all times. Not a friend loves when you're doing well. No, a friend loves even when you're not doing well, because it goes deeper than what you have to offer. They don't love you because you have something to offer. They love you because they love you, because they made that decision to love you. And in times of adversity, that's when your friends should be closest to you, when they should be there for you. So watch out who your friends are and who you spend your most time with, and see if they are there for you during adversity and not just when life is going well. Verse 18, one who lacks sense gives a pledge and puts up security in the presence of his neighbor. Whoever loves transgression loves strife. He who makes his door high seeks destruction. Make his door high, not being humble. These people seek destruction. And now in the next 3 verses we'll read what the effect of being a crooked and dishonest person leads to. And I'll tell you now, it leads to misery. It's not something you want to be living on a day-to-day. A man of crooked heart does not discover good, and one with a dishonest tongue falls into calamity. He who sours a fool gets himself sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy. And it even affects the people around you. The father of a fool has no joy. The people closest to you, it affects them. A joyful heart is a good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. The wicked accepts a bribe in secret to pervert his ways of justice. The discerning sets his face towards wisdom, but the eyes of a fool are on the ends of the earth. And here in verse 24, we see 2 types of people. We see the fools and we see the discerning. The discernings, they put their eyes on God. They get into their quiet time. They serve in church. They go to church. Spend time with religious people, women and men of God. They watch what comes into their ears because they know it leads to their heart. They spend that quiet time with God. And then you have the fools. Where are their eyes? Their eyes are not on the Lord, not on the people around them, not on the Bible, not in their quiet time. No, their eyes are on the ends of the earth. Ooh, what has the world got to offer? To the ends of the earth. I need everything that the world has to offer. I need that car, I need this car, and I need that car. I need that house. That's what their eyes are on. And if you're sitting right now and you're thinking, I love money, I want that supercar, I want that mansion. I want everything the world has to offer. Maybe you should take a moment and look yourself in the mirror and see, will that really make me happy? Maybe you should take a look at the people who have already got that wealth and who claim that it is not enough. It will not fill that original problem, that hole in your heart which you're just trying to fill with instant gratification. It will not fill that deep hole in your heart. A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him. Again, you being that fool affects the people around you, affects your parents. To impose a fine on a righteous man is not good, nor to strike the noble for their uprightness. Whoever restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent. And didn't we read that a couple chapters before? That sometimes less is more. Keeping your mouth shut in certain situations is more profitable than being that person to defend themselves all the time. It costs energy, it costs time. And you're defending yourself to people who don't even really care about you. They just care about what you have to offer. So remember, sometimes keeping your mouth shut is greater than any words you could ever speak. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow for chapter 18 of Proverbs. I love you, God loves you, and God bless you guys.